This week at Macy's, take an extra 20% off with your coupon or Macy's card. That's on top of already great deals like 50% off coats for that evening chill and gorgeous fine jewelry, 15 to 50% off. Plus, get 10 to 50% off cookware from big names like Allclad, Calphalon, and Analon. And Star Rewards members earn on every purchase, except gift cards, services, and fees. At Macy's. More at Macys.com/Star Rewards. Savings off sale and clearance prices, exclusions apply.
Did you know that yearly Medicaid renewals will start again soon? This means millions of people who were enrolled in Medicaid during the pandemic may no longer be eligible for coverage. If this may impact you, the good news is you have options. Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield can help answer your questions so you can find an affordable health plan for you and your family. We want you to feel confident you're covered. Click to learn more. Policy exclusions and limitations apply. Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield is the trade name of Community Insurance Company.
Hi, folks. Welcome to another episode of Film Study. This is Ken McKusick. We're continuing on tonight with our That One Play series. And tonight got one of the really iconic kicks in Ravens history, Justin Tucker's 66-yard field goal against the Lions in Week 3 of 2021.
Yep, just last year.
It was already. And here to join me is Alec Poulianis of One Winning Pod. Alec, how you doing?
Doing great, Ken. Yeah, I can't believe this play was just a year ago. It feels longer, I guess maybe because it was at the beginning of the season, Week 3. But yeah, it's definitely iconic and a play I think many Ravens fans will never forget.
We've got a lot of different perspectives on this, and you mentioned that the first one that you listened to was a kind of a pivot point in Ravens history. That Rod Woodson pick 6 is what I think of being as really the start of the Ravens dynasty. What kind of angle do you come at this kick with?
Well, for me, there's always a high likelihood of one game a year that I'll watch while at the Greek festival while I'm working at it. And this year, it's always usually beginning, right? So Week 3 was the Detroit game. So we have like an old TV with an antenna playing the game that was behind me. And then I had my iPad playing it with like, the delay. So basically got a replay of each play. So I'm like preparing the food the whole time, trying to watch the game best I can. And the number one thing I remember about this game was it was incredibly forgettable for almost the whole game. A lot of miscues, even though Lamar was throwing really well. This was the game that Hollywood was dropping the ball a lot. And just a really disappointing game for the Ravens. They were already 1-1 on the season, and it had been really sad to lose to the Lions. But luckily, they were able to pull it out.
Yeah, and certainly a game where the Lions are very upset about losing it. We know that the 22 Lions have come on to be pretty good, but that 21 Lions team actually had some real talent on the team. They just, for whatever reason, had trouble putting a lot of things together. And they're led in this game, and took the lead with a minute and 4 to go on a field goal by Santoso. And then the Ravens got the ball back. And do you want to take it from there in terms of describing the action?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, a little bit of backstory too with it is that Greg Santoso, kind of a kicker for them that came in and out. They were making comments about how he was 252 and a little bit stocky for a football player. Kind of looked not quite the part. But earlier in the game, Tucker had missed a field goal, but they called upon him 3 extra times afterwards, and he made all 3 of those. So he missed a 49-yarder and then hit a 39-yarder, extra point 50-yarder, and a 32-yarder leading up to this drive. But the Ravens had struggled all game long. They only had 1 first down or 1 third down conversion out of 10 all game long. And they were off to that same kind of start. So Lamar got sacked on the first play of the drive at the 104 point. And then he had no time at all to throw and threw an incompletion to Duvernay on second down. On third down, Jackson escapes almost a sure sack in the pocket and manages to get out of bounds and stop the clock for another sack or negative run play to get them to the 4th and 19 point. And then go ahead. Yeah.
3 sacks in this game. And McCary is at left tackle in this game, if I recall correctly, right? Because or was it Villanueva was on the left side in this one? I'm not honestly sure. But if McCary, I think McCary was in at right tackle in this game. He didn't have a good game, but my recollection is Villanueva was absolutely terrible. He was. I just to put it in Ken terms. He had an F, but it was a fall off the table F.
There you go.
0.30 at the base with a 0.04 adjustment. So he had a lot of trouble. And I think Harris was the pass rusher on that side who was giving him a lot of trouble. I think.
I can't remember that part, but it was incredible how much pressure they were getting even on that drive. Mm-hmm. But I think what might have done them in almost is that on 4th and 19, they decided only to rush 3, and it was a kind of a lethargic 3-man rush. And Lamar had all the time in the world, and then unloads a pass to Watkins, who's able to scamper up the field a little bit further to gain 36 yards, which was a little questionable. Some people thought he should have went out of bounds to save a little bit of time. And then the Ravens get up to the line and are able to spike it with 7 seconds.
Mm-hmm. So you got one more playoff before the attempted field goal, and that pass was incomplete. Actually, Jackson really just threw the ball away to the left side, is my recollection. It didn't have a receiver he's really throwing to. He just very conscious of getting rid of the ball, and which is often the case in those situations, is that you don't really have a good opportunity if the other team puts on any kind of a rush. Usually it ends up being a completely failed play. Indeed.
And actually, Tucker ran off to the field to like attempt the field goal, and they kind of waved him off to do that one more play. And what the Ravens might forget is that was a highly contested play after the game because they didn't get the snap off in time. But it was that classic, look at the 0, look back down, and it was snapped off. Even though it even felt slow for that standard, Ken, when I rewatched it, I was like, man, we really got away with one there.
Yeah, so, kind of reminds you a lot of the 2008 playoff game at Tennessee, where the big 3rd and 2 came down to a late call and a delay of game.
Yeah, so it was definitely a very intense moment. You go from thinking like there's no way on 4th and 19 they're going to find a way to convert. They find a way to convert, and then they're in field goal range. And at that point, once they had gotten there, I actually had some confidence that Tucker would pull it off. I don't know about you, Ken. What were you thinking?
Well, indoors is the best chance, I'd say, other than in Denver, maybe. But he's had some long opportunities indoors and hadn't made one that long, obviously, because no one had ever made one that long in an actual game. You kind of figure it for the sort of play that they might have earmuffs on, so they might give you a more time to kick on a situation like that. Not really trying to rush the edge aggressively and risking offsides, because you are going to have a 5-yard penalty could be very severe in terms of the increased chance of making that field goal. So I think for a couple of reasons, they probably got a less than stellar rush from the Detroit Lions out of this.
That makes a lot of sense, Ken. I think that makes all the sense it does. And when you watch it, who's lined up to block for him? You had Tomlinson, McCary, Andre Smith. I didn't realize that he was out there. Mm-hmm. Zeitler, Nick Moore, Ben Powers, Ben Cleveland, Alejandro Villanueva, Calais Campbell, and then, of course, Cook to hold the ball. So the other part was unique about this kick is that it was the first time I think we saw Tucker deploy his extra step approach. So he lined up, and then he took an extra step back, and then kind of jumped into his kick, which he talked about after the game was how he gets extra distance. And it was the first time he did that, I think.
That's interesting, because that would be the kind of key. If you picked up on that pre-snap, you'd realize you'd have more time to try and get in there and make a block on. So we talk about kickers being standard 3x2 kickers, and that used to be they had straight ahead kickers in the NFL when I was a kid, of course. But everybody became a soccer style kicker, and then basically everybody's a standard 3x2 kicker now, and 3 back, 2 left. That attempt from Tucker taking an extra step at the last moment should have keyed off somebody on the outside that, hey, I'm going to have an extra split second to get to that football and try and make a play on it.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. That not only is he risking, a new mechanic, so to speak, and losing accuracy because of the way he's going after it, but he's also giving them more time to give it a block, which we saw a little bit of this year when he would attempt field goals of the longer variety. So, go ahead.
A couple things I love about the kick itself going through the air, but I want to hear your thoughts first, and then I'll jump in there.
Sure. So to transport me back, right? I'm at this festival. Everything kind of stops to watch this kick. And we all turn around. I'm yelling, it's perfect conditions. It's a dome. If anyone can do it, it's Tucker. And like I just like am hyping him up. I'm like, this is his time. Like it'll be so awesome and poetic if he does. And it comes off the foot, and it's like, all right, well, it's straight. That part's not a concern. And if we would go back to 2013 when he hit the 61-yarder to beat the Lions, I was at a Looney's in Columbia, and I watched this thing like just graze inside the right upright and go in. So from an accuracy perspective, it's right on. So that was a win. And then you're watching it and it bounces, and I don't know how to react. And I see all these hands like going up, like celebrating, not necessarily a field goal made, but celebrating. I was like, oh man, that can't be good. But it's because the Ravens fans traveled so well that it kind of, there was a lot of jubilee. And then you see the net wrinkle and the guy underneath who catches it, put his hands up, and then you figured it out.
Yeah, that part was just magical. And some of the other angles they had on that kick are unbelievable. And we experienced this in high def, and it is a high def moment because from the side, you may be the 50-yard line or something, the shot is, and it's taken through the uprights. You can actually see the ball bounce up, but more importantly, you can see the difference between how Lions and Ravens fans are reacting to this kick. And the Lions fans initially think it's great, it hit the upright, and then oh shit. And they realize this just went through, and they can't believe it. And then they went to Campbell, they went to Harbaugh. Nobody really is able to believe it, but there's a lot of celebration going on in the field at that point.
Yeah, it definitely was one of those things where I watched the All-22 just to get a better idea of what the players were doing, and kind of try to watch all the different angles. And yeah, it definitely it's just wild to watch it. And I guess I think the whole team had confidence that he could make it. He said, I think during work or pregame, he didn't have much success from that distance. So luckily, he was able to do it when it counted.
Yeah, obviously one of the really big kicks. It's going to be hard. Somebody will do it. I don't think the record is going to last forever. I don't think it'll last nearly as long as, say, Dempsey's record did. I think it's doomed under current conditions of domes and whatnot. We went a lot of years without having many domes in the NFL, during which the Dempsey's record was not really approached. And then there were conditions that were conducive to it. And eventually, I think maybe 2 of the 4 64-yard field goals were in Denver. I might be wrong about that. Maybe it's only 1. But the 64-yard field goals, Denver has always been a good possibility of getting one. But I think that the 66-yard field goal will be equaled or topped within about a decade. That somebody will kick one as long. So these things records are always, of course, made to be broken. But with the number of domes we have in the NFL right now, it is somewhat doomed.
I think I somewhat agree with you, but I think the way it might stick around longer is just it takes a special brew of circumstances for a team to want to even go for it, right? You have to be desperate enough to do it, I think. I don't think that a 66-yard field goal is a field goal anyone ever attempts under neutral conditions.
Well, at the end of a half, but under neutral conditions is when.
Sure. Yeah, under end of a half or end of a game, and they need it to win. Those are, I think, the only 2 times that this kick will be attempted. Mm-hmm. So just how long will it take for that to happen, and then the right kicker to be in that moment to kick it, kind of thing.
Yeah, and you have to be exactly at the right point on the field. Obviously, that is a consideration. And if there's additional time left, it's usually worth going for it on 4th down and trying to pick up an extra 20 yards, to make the kick a more reasonable distance.
Right.
But yeah, I would agree. I think it is difficult for the circumstances to come together. It did all come together for Tucker in this particular case, which was very fortunate for the Ravens, and obviously gave us a very special moment.
Yeah.
Anything else about the aftermath of it, or other things that were cool to you?
I guess it was kind of cool because, again, this big environment, right? You're at this festival, and it kind of became like all about Tucker. Everyone was walking around and saying, like, "Can you believe it?" And we had different ways when people were watching it. Inside they had a projection of it, and kind of like I'm going back to the kitchen to get some more supplies. I'm talking to those guys. They were like listening to it on the radio, stuff like that. So it was just like it was cool to be in that communal aspect when I watched the game. And this year it was like the New England game I watched under those circumstances. And I'm hoping that we don't have home games for a while. I don't know what I'm going to do in that situation.
Can they fix the Greek festival to be on a road weekend, or do they have to decide too long in advance?
They already picked the dates. So I've been always joking with them. Can you wait till May? Because I know that's when the schedule comes out.
There you go.
But yeah, we'll figure it out. Hopefully, my only ask is it's an away game and it's not the Chargers game. If that all works out, I will work it. It's fine.
There you go. So you plan to go to the Chargers game if it's on the road, huh?
It will be on the road, and I do want to.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. We have not been to that stadium yet, so we're very eager to go.
Yeah, I definitely would like to. So, yeah, we'll see. Well, hopefully it all works out next year, and everyone's schedule is going to align.
All right, very great moment to discuss. Thanks so much for coming on and talking it out with us, Alec. Where can folks talk football with you online?
Sure. You can find us on Twitter at One Winning Pod, or go to our website, onewinningpod.com. In fact, I listened to our old show about this, this play to remember how we were feeling in the moment and get some of these fun facts. So, it's cool to have like that history and all those episodes to go back on.
Were we talking about the offense or defense that week?
No.
Your old show.
Our old show. I don't think we did. No.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for coming on, Alec. Other folks out there, if you'd like to do that one play, hit me up with your idea. If you don't really have a great idea of what could be, or you're afraid they all are taken, don't worry. They're really not. Even though I've got 32 of these in planning right now, there are a number of great plays that have not been taken. In fact, there's so many great plays in Ravens history that should mean something to someone. I think the number would be hundreds of these shows that literally could be done. But I'm adding about 3 to 5 more every day on Twitter. So if you want to look for those tweets, here's some plays nobody's taken yet. By all means, hit me up with a DM on Twitter. I'll tell you if you got it or not, and we'll schedule a time very quickly and get right down to it. These are a lot of fun, having all kinds of fun just discussing these, Alec, with other folks.
I bet. Yeah, it's definitely a cool concept.
Thanks for coming on again.
Yep.
And we'll talk to you next time on Film Study.